Picture this for a second. You are working incredibly hard, you're doing absolutely everything right, and you still find yourself completely unable to buy a house. For decades, owning a home was literally the cornerstone of the American dream. It meant stable employment, community roots, and most importantly, it was how you built generational wealth. It was a reliable, proven formula. But today, that painful reality of working hard but being totally priced out is a stark, shocking contrast to what past generations experienced. Millions of Americans are asking themselves a terrifyingly simple question right now. Will I ever be able to afford a home? And you know what? That anxiety is entirely justified. The truth of the current market is frankly staggering. In so many cities across the country, house prices haven't just gone up a little bit, they have literally doubled in just a few short years. And at the exact same time, rent and mortgages are absolutely skyrocketing. Even people with really good, stable salaries are struggling to find a foothold. It leaves us all wondering, what on earth actually happened? Okay, let's dive into this by taking a quick step back in time. In the 1980s and 90s, the average home price was much, much lower compared to the average income. Back then, a single person working a regular job could very often afford to buy a house and support an entire family on just that one income. The math actually worked. Fast forward to today, and that math has completely broken down. It simply no longer works, even for folks bringing in fantastic salaries. The anatomy of the crisis. To understand exactly why this dream vanished, we really need to do an economic autopsy of the 5 distinct factors that systematically destroyed housing affordability. First reason, America has been building fewer houses than needed for years. We have a chronic lack of inventory. We've spent years building far fewer houses than our population actually requires. And when you have massive demand chasing a highly restricted supply of new homes, prices naturally have absolutely nowhere to go but straight ups. Second reason, inflation dramatically increases construction costs. We're talking about the raw materials, the skilled labor, and the land itself. The actual cost to build a home from the ground up has completely surged. And builders, well, they don't just generously absorb those massive hits. They are forced to pass those dramatically increased costs directly onto the buyers in the form of much higher price tags. And this brilliantly illustrates our third major factor, borrowing costs. Just a few years ago, borrowing money to buy a house was cheap. Today, mortgage rates are much higher. Because almost nobody buys a house in pure cash, the cost of servicing that debt is a massive barrier. Those high interest rates have made the actual monthly payments so much more expensive for the average buyer. We are talking hundreds or thousands of dollars more every month. To really put this harsh financial reality into perspective, we aren't just talking about a few extra bucks. Because of those higher interest rates, a house that might have seemed totally affordable just a couple of years ago can now command a monthly payment that is astronomically higher. It's the exact same house, but the cost to live in it has completely transformed. Fourth reason, large investment companies are buying thousands of homes and turning them into rental properties. It isn't just regular families trying to buy homes anymore. Wall Street has entered the chat. Large investment companies have flooded the market, buying up thousands of homes across the country. Instead of families purchasing these houses to build equity, corporate investors are converting them directly into rentals. This creates an incredibly fierce layer of competition for everyday families and acts as yet another force pushing prices even higher. Which brings us to the wage gap problem. This is the fifth and, honestly, perhaps the most deeply frustrating underlying cause of this entire crisis. Now, what's really interesting about the slide is the disconnect between salaries and home prices. Impartially speaking, many Americans actually do earn more money today than they did years ago. Salaries have gone up, but those wages have completely failed to keep pace with skyrocketing home prices. The cost of entry into the housing market has risen at a dramatically faster speed than American salaries have grown. Your dollar simply doesn't stretch as far as it used to, no matter how hard you're working. The fallout and nation of renters. Combine low supply, high construction costs, spiked interest rates, corporate investors, and lagging wages, and this is the societal consequence we are facing. As a result, the direct effects of this crisis are entirely shifting the landscape of American life, especially for younger generations. Because of these insurmountable costs we've just outlined, millions of young people are being forced to make major life compromises. They are delaying marriage. They're living with their parents for much, much longer than previous generations ever did. Or, perhaps most tragically for the American dream, they're simply giving up on the idea of ever owning a home entirely. The financial hurdle is just too high to clear. Some experts even believe that future generations may become a nation of renters. Think about the long-term, generational impact of that incredibly sobering prediction. If the current housing market dynamics do not change, the fundamental way Americans build wealth and stability, which historically has been through home equity, could be completely altered for all future generations.
So, the crucial point is, will things ever actually get better? Well, nobody knows the future for sure. But looking at the data, we can see the variables that could make buying a house easier again. It's essentially a two-step equation. Step one, a significant increase in supply. We desperately need more homes to be built to meet the demand. Step two, a drop in borrowing costs. If interest rates fall, the monthly math suddenly becomes a whole lot more realistic for families again. Those two market shifts could potentially fix the situation.
But for now, the American dream of homeownership feels farther away than ever. We have to acknowledge the reality of the present moment. If you are feeling deeply frustrated by this market, the data completely validates that frustration. It is a uniquely difficult time in economic history to try and secure that piece of the dream. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative question to ponder. Is owning a home still a dream worth chasing against these odds? Or is America entering a completely new era where renting just becomes the new normal? It's a massive shift in how we think about the future. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to keep learning in a clear, focused way, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into money, business, and the future of America. I'll see you next time.